I mean, what can be said about the Season 8 Alabama State Hornets that can't be said about the Season 7 Alabama State Hornets? Well, there's a couple of things. Well, this season, this was the first time in the history of our program that we had a quarterback win the Heisman Trophy. Also, unlike Season 7, we did not have a Doak Walker Award winner. We now have 4 running backs in this series that have rushed for 2,000 yards in a season. But again, this team continues to be disrespected. In the last 4 seasons, the Alabama State Hornets have only lost 1 game, and that was in the national championship game versus LSU. The last 2 seasons, Season 7 and Season 8, we have gone undefeated. A 26-game winning streak going into Season 9. This season was one to remember for not only HBCU history, but definitely Alabama State football history. So let's go into the review. We start off the season in Winston-Salem, North Carolina. Joseph Cooley was very bitter that Wake Forest was picked to play in the national championship over his Hornets. So Joseph Cooley decided to call the athletic director at Wake Forest and said, set up a game. We're coming out there. So we did. And boy, did we show out. It was the first game as a starter for Deadpool William Wade Wilson. But man, this offense was straight clicking from the jump. We had a slow start, but we stick to what we do best. Set up the pass with the run. Low down dirty Shane Harris had the best season of his career. Over 800 yards rushing, over 100 yards receiving, and 13 total touchdowns, 12 on the ground, 1 through the air. We blew out Wake Forest and Winston-Salem, and we're hosting the Penn State Nittany Lions, the first meeting between the 2 schools. A top 10 matchup that we thought was going to be worth watching, but in the end, we came out on top. Now, don't be alarmed. We did have a rough start to this game. Wade Wilson, the merchant with the arm, took some time to get going. We stuck with the run game that was working. Wendell Davis had one of his best performances. Look at him, 31 tackles. He led the team with 7 INTs, and of course, he was named a first-team All-American. Our defense was getting turnovers, and when they did, the offense capitalized, especially Wade Wilson and Ryan Thompson, who was just straight phenomenal in this ball game. Both of these players balled out. This combination was so dangerous, just as dangerous as Trey Tyler. So there goes Josh Jones. He had 19 tackles, 2 INTs, a pick 6 on the season, and he straight blew up that quarterback. And then, of course, how can we forget about Leon Hill? Led the team in tackles, led the team in tackles for loss, led the team in sacks, along with 5 interceptions, 4 forced fumbles, a pick 6, which you see right here, and a scoop and score. That was the first score of this game for us. We blew out Penn State, and then we go down to a rainy Prairie View, Texas. We're in the Blackshear taking on the Prairie View A&M Panthers. And this game was absolutely nuts. In this game, Ryan Thompson officially became the all-time leading wide receiver in receiving yards in college football history. We went into the locker room up with 45 points. We finished the game in the second half scoring only 3 points. Meanwhile, Prairie View A&M came back into this game and eventually tied it. We were an absolute mess, absolutely abysmal in the second half, and Prairie View A&M took advantage. But the last drive, especially this run right here by Donnie Marker, making this man miss right there, that was the biggest play of this game. Setting up the kicker that would eventually win the game for us. That's Ziegler. That goes through. That is good. We escape Prairie View A&M, Texas. We keep them winless while we go 3-0 on the season. So we squeaked by Prairie View A&M. Joseph Cooley was not happy about that performance at all. So then the boys from Tallahassee come to town. And this is one of the best games in Deadpool's young career. Look at that spin move right there by Ryan Thompson. The man is just an absolute animal. I can't wait to see who drafts him. Look at this pass right here also to Ryan Thompson that gets tackled inside the red zone of Florida A&M. Sheldon Green, 37 receptions, over 800 yards and 12 total touchdowns. He had a kick return for a touchdown as well. You will see that later on. Look at this beautiful spiral pass, looking like Warren Moon from back in the day to Chad Hamilton though. This was Chad Hamilton's coming out party. The man was an absolute animal. He had 2 touchdown receptions in his game. And he also had a kick return for a touchdown. And of course, you saw the debut of our new impact player, Ncaa. That was a 79-yard. That was the longest run of his collegiate career at the time. So then you have Chad Hamilton. Over 1,200 all-purpose yards, 6 total touchdowns, first-team All-American and freshman All-American, all in one season. He balled out. We took care of FAMU, and then we go down to Bethune-Cookman. Now, when we took on the Bethune-Cookman Wildcats, this was not Deadpool's best game at all. Now, remember, we were playing against Brad Jones, a former Alabama State Hornet that transferred out and went down to Florida. Look at that move right there by Sheldon Green, though. I wish he had consistent hands. Now, Deadpool, William Wade Wilson, a merchant with the arm, threw 3 interceptions in his game, and this was the only, I believe, no, take that back. This was his second touchdown pass in this game. But for the most part, the pass game wasn't clicking. We had to depend on the run, and we had to depend on our defense to get some stops. Bobby Swagger got a big stop right here, though. 12 tackles, 8 for loss, and 2 sacks. Defensive tackle. So we took care of Bethune-Cookman 35-21. And, of course, Joe Cool was not happy once again. So it was homecoming vibes when we went up against Mississippi Valley State. Everything was clicking. But we had 2 early turnovers, including a pick 6 thrown by Deadpool. Rashawn Pearson got this fumble recovery right here. 9 tackles on the season, 6 tackles for loss, 5 sacks, and 2 fumble recoveries. True freshman is always around the ball. Look at this burst right here, though, by low down Dirty Shane Harris. Despite the slow start by Deadpool, this was one of his best games. This pass and the catch after by Ryan Thompson, breaking tackles and dragging defenders, absolutely beautiful. Leon Hill in the defense, turning it up after we was down 14-7. So we took care of them. Joe Brown, he finally got some action. 2 INTs on the season and 5 tackles. He will be the free safety of the future. So we obliterate Mississippi Valley State, and then we're back at home again, taking on another team that is struggling, the Southern Jaguars, who was 1-5 at the time. The first play of this game set the tone. Avery Vincent, 29 tackles on the season, 3 INTs included, and this pick 6 right here. This play right here set the tone for the rest of the day on defense. Avery Vincent getting the pick 6. Jason Reed baptizing the running back with the holy water, just straight destroying him. And sometimes the ball just go your way. Sometimes it's just better to be lucky than good. On this 4th and 10 play, though, Tommy Chavez making that move right there on the DB, one of his best touchdowns on the season. Grant Garcia was second on our team in tackles, tackles for loss, and sacks. The dude was an absolute beast. He's a monster in the backfield. And then, of course, Joe Brown once again picking up his second pick of the season. Back-to-back games with INTs for Joe Brown. We take care of Southern. And then we're looking for a little payback down in Death Valley. We're in Baton Rouge taking on the LSU Tigers, a team, despite the fact that they struggled this season, won the SEC West, and they actually won the SEC Championship. That is crazy to me, at 5-6. But look at William Wade Wilson, the Heisman Trophy winner, 3,869 passing yards on the season, along with 40 touchdowns, 1 rushing touchdown, and a quarterback rating of 197.1. That is crazy. This was his first year as a starter, his first full-time year starting, which is nuts to me. Donnie Monk, the Dope Walk Award winner, 2,000 yards on the dot. 33 rushing touchdowns, 9.6 yards per carry, and 36 broken tackles. He is the 4th Alabama State Hornet to rush for 2,000 yards in a season. John McCowan, the junior, 24 tackles, 5 tackles for loss, along with 3 sacks. John McCowan got things going, but I think he can kick it up just a little bit more. Now, when we first scored on those first 3 possessions, our defense never looked back. Wendell Davis picked off this pass right here, and I knew that we was on the verge of blowing these cats out. I knew they had no hope in coming back on us. And then, of course, how could we forget about Jason Reed picking off this pass? 24 tackles on the season, 2 INTs. The other one would come much later on in the season. We go down to LSU, we put them in a split, we beat them 45-10. We're feeling really good about ourselves right now, and then we take on Jackson State back at home. Jackson State has been a team that has given us trouble throughout this entire series, despite the fact we only lost to them in season 1. When the pass game ain't clicking, you got to go back to what you're known for, and that is running the football. Donnie Marker had a magnificent game carrying the load along with Low Down Dirty Shane Harris. We should have gave Low Down Dirty Shane some more carries in this game. But Donnie Marker was an absolute beast. And then you see that catch right there by Ryan Thompson. A very lucky play that could have been picked off. Donnie Marker had, I believe, 3 or 4 rushing touchdowns in this game. Defense stepped up big time what they have to, especially Wendell Davis. Wendell Davis is an absolute beast, man. He finally found his niche. He's much better in the zone than he is in man. We took care of Jackson State 42-20. We're going down to the hole in Grambling, Louisiana, taking on the Grambling State Tigers, a team that went winless this entire season. When we met them, they were 0-9. And Tommy Chavez scored on back-to-back possessions. 742 receiving yards on the season, 9 receiving touchdowns, 23.9 yards per catch, and that led the team. That DB had no chance of picking that pass off. I have no idea why he tried to dive for that pass. But Tommy Chavez balled out this season. We're looking for him to have a much better season next year, though. Sheldon Green took this kick return all the way back. I believe this is the first kick return of his collegiate career. I know he has wide receiver duties for the most part. But, man, like I said before, if he can be consistent with the catching, he will be very dangerous. Chad Hamilton, our freshman All-American and first-team All-American, wanted in on some of the action. Taking this punt return back for a touchdown, we just straight destroyed the Grambling State Tigers. But, unfortunately, we will not get any respect from the BCS voters. Now we're in Pine Bluff for the regular season finale, taking on a team that's been struggling all series. But this was their best season. Arkansas Pine Bluff became bowl eligible. Rashawn Pearson, though, was straight beasting out in this game. Even took out the starting quarterback, Marcus Oliver. Aaron Landrum, back in his home state. His first career interception comes in his home state of Arkansas. I know that is a very memorable moment for him. Look at him right there calling the homies and his family back home, telling them what just happened. Showing that swag. Sheldon Green did a good job holding on to this ball despite getting baptized with the holy water. Grant Garcia was all in the backfield. Low Down Dirty Shane had him a couple of touchdown runs. Avery Vincent picked up his second pick of the season. And then Ryan Thompson, once again, back-to-back 2,000-yard seasons and the all-time leader in receiving yards and receiving touchdowns. We just straight destroyed Arkansas Pine Bluff in every aspect of football. And now we're in Detroit, Michigan, Ford Field, taking on the Alcorn State Braves, a team that's currently still on probation, but they made it to the SWAC championship game. What cannot be said about Ryan Thompson? Bolitnikoff Award winner, another season of over 2,000 yards receiving, 17 receiving touchdowns, and then 8 more on the ground, tallying the 25 on the season. So after our defense struggled throughout the first half, earlier in the first half, we went through a transition of 3 straight INTs. Leon Hill picking off 2 of them here. Leon Hill is an absolute beast, man. Again, can't wait to see who drafts him, because I truly believe this will be his last this will be his last collegiate football season. And then one more time, there goes Jason Reed picking up his second interception on the season. Jason Reed will be back. We're looking for him to play a bigger role in his defense. And then, of course, how can we forget about this pick right here by Josh Jones later on in the game? Josh Jones picked up his INTs late in the season. We win another SWAC championship, that is 7 in a row. And of course, how can we forget another big moment? The Heisman Trophy winner. This time it was William Wade Wilson, aka Deadpool. A lot of people were anticipating for Ryan Thompson to win his second consecutive Heisman Trophy. And then in the Rose Bowl, not the BCS National Championship game, we're taking on the Pac-10 champions, the Stanford Cardinal, aka the Forum. And our defense did a very good job. Had a slow start, but they did a very good job. We had like 4 possessions in which we had INTs. Ryan Anderson had one right here. He's back in his home state making big plays. And then, of course, we had Josh Jones get him a pick 6, which was absolutely nuts, man. And then we go to the next drive immediately after this one, and we have another California native picking off a ball. And this time it was Leon Hill. That was his 5th INT on the season. Ryan Anderson was straight balling. 28 tackles, 4 tackles for loss, 3 sacks, 4 INTs, including his pick 6. And of course, he was a freshman All-American. We took care of Stanford. We're the Rose Bowl champions once again. So that is 4 BCS appearances in 4 years, 1 national championship, and 3 victories, including 2 Rose Bowl victories. Now we are looking to kick it up, and we will be playing the number 1 team and the number 2 team in the country next season. I'm telling y'all that right now. So join us next time for the off season. Peace.